Hi, this is April Choi and Bethany Burns, and today we'll be showing you how to crack whips of different lengths. The trick will be all in the timing. Short whips take a short amount of time, like this. Long whips, instead, will take a long time. Today we'll be going through the concept of timing using a cattleman's crack to show why the timing works, and then applying it to other cracks using volleys as the example. The first thing you need to know is how long to wait for a good cattleman's crack. This is tricky because the amount of time you wait changes with how fast you move and how long your whip is. Assuming that you are right-handed, wait until the popper of the whip is at between 4 and 5 o'clock, so just behind you, with the whole whip facing down. If you're left-handed, it will be at 7 and 8 o'clock. Still, it will be just behind you. This is what the timing is going to look like with whips of 5 different lengths. The first whip we're using is a 12-foot long Calvin single bullwhip. We're starting with the longest whip because it's the slowest and the easiest to see the timing. And one from behind. Remember, we're waiting until it gets to 4 and 5 o'clock. Awesome! Next is an 8-foot kangaroo hide bullwhip by Russell Schultz. Watch how long it takes for the whip to get between 4 and 5 o'clock. It's the same place on the clock face, but it's a different amount of time because the length of the whip is different. April's moving about the same speed. Next is the classic bullwhip length. This is a 6-foot rawhide bullwhip by Blake Bruning of Trinity Whips. Again, if you notice, the whip takes just a little bit less time to get to that 4 and 5 o'clock, so you move just a little bit faster. Even faster, a 4.5-foot nylon speed whip by April Choi. And notice how it gets there even faster because it has less time to move around its rotation. We're finishing off at a little baby whip size at a 32-inch little snapper by Paul Nolan. This is just to show you how fast you have to react to get a short whip to crack. You're barely moving your hand up before you're moving forward. You can also affect the speed by just moving faster or slower with your wind-up. So the first half of the cattleman's you can move very slow, barely extending the whip, or you can move very quickly, getting a much louder sound. The concept of this timing applies to every whip crack that you do, and can be especially tricky when you apply it to volleys. Volleys are all about the figure 8 pattern. If you just go back and forth, it doesn't really work. Notice how her entire arm is doing this figure 8 pattern, with her entire body rocking back and forth, because she needs to take up that much time for the whip to get to either side. Notice too how the whip is basically cracking on the ground. Because it's such a long whip and takes so long for the loop to travel to the end of the whip, gravity has a lot of time to work on this. You can really combat gravity by pushing the edges of this figure 8 up rather than straight out. That's how you can get good volleys with a very long whip. With an 8-foot bullwhip, you're going to be doing just a little bit less with your body, though your arm is still moving quite a bit to get that proper figure 8 in. Now we're back down to 6 feet. This is what you're probably used to seeing a volley look like. The movement is mostly in the forearm. Now we're back to the 4.5-foot whip. This is mostly going to be in the tip of the whip. Obviously you still have to move your forearm to move it, but notice how the figure 8 is moved really out into the center of the whip rather than back into the arm and body. Now back to a 2-foot whip just to see how fast it has to move. This one is another April Choi whip, but The other one was hard to see, and it's a snake whip, so. Hopefully this helped you guys out with knowing how to move differently with different lengths of whips. Have a great day, guys, and do let us know any tips and tricks that you've come up with messing around with different whip sizes. Have a great day. So this is what it looks like when you try and do a cattleman's with a 57-foot whip, because we're intelligent people that like to do intelligent things.